back.
On this episode, we're going to talk about some recent updates, and I've got my buddy Bentley here. He's pretty excited to be on camera. We recently added to our website a page that talks about our philosophy on cattle and beef and what we're going to do here at Dirigo Ranch. So if you're interested in reading about how we're going to raise our cows and what we're aiming for in the future, you can check that out at harperhomestead.com/Dirigo Ranch Beef.
You never know what's going to happen.
And you want to kind of talk about that a little?
There's a big movement to have all grass-fed meat and, grass-fed beef, 100% grass-fed beef, may end up with a healthier, for the consumer, cut of meat.
And there's really no right or wrong answer.
No, there's not. It's all personal preference. But, our cows are, we like to call grass-fed, grain supplemented. So kind of getting the best of both worlds. The natural lean meat and, fat content that you get from the the hay, which is the grass. And then couple that with some supplemental grain. We use spent grains from the brew process down at Point Brewing.
They're awesome.
Go check them out. Fantastic local spot. And to give it we feed the grains to give the meat a nice marbling. When we
you trying to get my attention.
When we, or at least when we eat a piece of steak, we want it to be. Okay.
We want it to be flavorful and delicious.
Yes. That comes from fat and marbling within that meat.
That being said, grass-fed beef is leaner and healthier typically than a grain-fed diet from start to finish. So we're lucky to be able to have an option for grass-fed beef, but also adding in the supplemented spent grains from the brewery, which are high in protein and a great option to add caloric intake when it's so cold here in Maine and we want to keep the weight on them and make sure that they're comfortable.
With all this talk of spring and beer from Corner Point and using their spent grains, it's only natural to go right into St. Patty's Day. And one of the staples for St. Patrick's Day is corned beef. And we have a fantastic recipe that we like to use, make homemade corned beef.
It takes a little extra preparation.
Yep, and some forethought, but it really does come out fantastic. And it's always, or at least we always like to have something that we made right here
from scratch. So with that, let's hop on over to the kitchen and we'll show you how we make it.
Welcome to the Homestead Kitchen. Today we'll be showing you how to corn your own beef for St. Patty's Day. With March starting, it's may seem a little early to be thinking about St. Patty's Day being in the middle of the month. But this recipe, you can corn your beef for up to 2 weeks prior to consuming. And we start off with a pot roast. That's our own personal preference. You can use pretty much any roast or cut of beef you'd like. A lot of people go the traditional route with a brisket, corned beef brisket.
This will save you a little money, but you'll still get a great result in the end.
Yeah, we like the pot roast because it's a little bit more marbled, and I feel as though, a little bit more flavorful and tender.
There's never any left after we make this. So.
One of the things that you'll notice with this recipe is that the end product, it's actually a gray corned beef. Don't be alarmed. It's not the bright pink that you're used to from the traditional corned beef brisket that you get at the store. That corned beef is corned with nitrates and preservatives and that gives it that bright pink color. And here, you know, we like to do things kind of our own way and
in the natural way, just like we like to raise our cows, we like to have our food as natural as possible too.
we like doing it ourselves. There's a little bit more pride and satisfaction that comes with a meal that you prep yourself. So the things that you'll need: some plain old pickling spices.
We're using McCormick's. It comes with everything you need. You can get it right on your local grocery store's shelf. It's got cinnamon, allspice, mustard seed, ginger, clove, pepper, all the stuff for that traditional corned beef taste.
Big box of kosher salt, your cut of beef, and a potato. Just one potato for right now, and you'll see why in a minute here. A little backstory on this recipe. We actually got this from the local butcher at the grocery store that I've been going to since I was a little kid. Same butcher. He's been there my whole life. He actually just retired, so congratulations, Bob. But he, you know, every time we go in there, we talk about, you know, what's on sale and all this other stuff. And during one early March, he told me, you know, hey, you should try corn your own beef. And we tried it, and we've loved it that way ever since. So let's get started and show you how it's done. So we're going to start off with a potato, and we're going to put it in a pot of water. Fill it up with enough cool water so it can cover your beef completely. And then the potato is just there for an indication to tell you that you got the right salt level. So what we'll do is we'll just start adding and stirring in our salt until that potato floats. And once that potato floats, you know that you've got enough salt content to corn your beef. We'll then put the beef in there and add our pickling spices, and then we'll let it rest for until St. Patty's Day. In a cool area, usually the traditional way is to put the crock in a river, but since we don't have one of those around here, we're just going to put it in the fridge and check on it periodically. About halfway through, you're going to want to flip your piece of beef over to make sure that every side is corned even. Now that our potato's floating, I'm actually going to take the potato out for a moment. And I'm going to take our cut of beef, and I'm just going to place it into the saltwater brine. I'm going to put the potato back on it, and that'll just kind of help keep the meat under the level of the water. And then, obviously, clean your hands because you don't want any cross-contamination. Then you're going to add your pickling spices. No sense in using the shaker cap because you're just going to dump all of them in there. Don't worry if they float on top. As they absorb the water, they'll sink down and provide that really good flavor to your beef.
So on the day of cooking, you're going to take your brined meat and you're going to strain it and drain the meat off in the sink through like a colander. And then you will fill the pot back up with fresh water and let the pot roast or whatever cut you choose soak again for a half hour.
In fresh water.
In fresh water. And then once more strain it and drain it out. And that'll just take some of the salt content out of your beef because there's going to be just so much that it's been soaking up for the last up to 14 days. And so then after that, you're going to fill your pot again with fresh water to boil it. You're going to want to boil your beef an hour per pound. So depending on the size of your cut, you'll boil it based on that. About a half hour before your beef is finished cooking, you will chop up a cabbage into slices. I like to make them thin sliced. And then your potatoes, you can quarter those and put those in as well.
Don't forget your rutabaga or turnip and your onions.
Yes, definitely. Don't forget the onions. And then those will all boil together for about a half hour until you can put a fork into the potato till they're nice and soft. And at that point, you'll be ready to serve. You'll want your internal temperature for your beef to be at least 165 degrees. The day of, when we sit down for a big meal at our 10-foot farmhouse table, all seats filled, we like to serve it with Irish soda bread, which is traditional, vinegar. Horseradish is a great topping on top of your corned beef. And of course, don't forget your Cowboy coffee, which is available on our website for purchase if you'd like to add that to your day as well. If this is a recipe that you want to keep for years to come in your recipe box, We have ranch recipe cards on our website as well that you can purchase, and we will mail to you hard copy. And we have all kinds of recipes from breads to braised short ribs and corned beef.
And with St. Patty's Day comes clovers. And with that comes 4-H.
If we didn't have enough going on, we will now.
Yeah. Within the next year, we are going to be starting a 4-H program for clover buds, which are ages 5 through 8. I finished my 4-H volunteer training and completed the background check process with the UMaine Extension Office, and I have a meeting next week with their representative to talk about what we'd like to do here with a 4-H program. So we'd love to have your families come and join us, come learn a little bit about gardening, livestock, the foraging in the woods, various different crafts, aquatic life with our pond, so on and so forth. So we think we have a lot to offer for a 4-H program.
If you're interested, head over to our website and drop us a line, and I think you've got a link set up so you can...
We do. At harperhomestead.com, there is a 4-H program link in the menu, and if you go to that page, you can sign up on our interested email notification, and so I'll know to contact you when the time comes to start the program. It's something that we want to see our kids participate in, so we'd love to have yours join us. And with that, we also have a few other updates. We have new apparel coming to our online store, and we have pillows that we are making from our sheep's wool that Rob shears himself. We have Icelandic ewes, and they get sheared a couple times a year, and so we'll have various different design pillows that will be available on our website for purchase, and we can ship those to you. And Cowboy Up coffee will be ready to ship out next week. We have our labels in, so stay tuned to see more of that as we get going, and hopefully you'll join us for a cup of coffee.